I have never met a good golfer. I never have. I've met and known golfers that consistently score low and are considered locally as the best in the area. But you never hear them tell you, yeah, I'm a really good golfer. It's because they never say that. Here's what I hear all the time instead. Hey, Paul, I hear you play golf. I say, I do. I've got a bag of clubs and I hit the links occasionally, but I'm not very good. And this next part is what really gets me. They retort, I'm not either. I'm not either. They always say that. Then, want to play Saturday? Why do most golfers downplay their ability? I don't know, it must be to lower expectations and lower the stress that comes from having to actually be a good golfer. Some say it's to avoid the golf curse, a superstition that bragging, or I contend, just being truthful in most cases, will cause them to hit bad shots. I assume the rationale is that by stating from the get-go that they suck, they protect their ego later on when the ball goes into the next fairway. The built-in difficulty of the game of golf itself further drives this I'm not very good attitude. For one thing, there's the inconsistency about accurately striking a ball with a club toward and into a hole in the ground over and over and over. After all, it is a game of misses. No human being has ever scored in a single round a hole-in-one on 18 holes of a traditional golf course. Perfection just doesn't exist. There are misses. Even highly skilled players will hit a perfect shot and then immediately follow that up with a terrible one. Like in that old Johnny Mercer song, we like to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. Golfers often compare their occasional good shots to those of professional players or the shots on their own best days. This then makes their average play feel inadequate. So we tell others how inadequate at golf we are. Also driving this tendency is the statistical reality of the game. It has built-in tracking like handicaps and scores that immediately provide undeniable proof of how many mistakes and just how bad we really are. I'm reminded of the story about 40 years ago when my dad and I played a round of golf with my cousin and his dad, my uncle. Dad and I, admittedly, weren't very good golfers. Well, Steve and Uncle Chuck were. Dad and I always used worn balls, some with divots. They're cheap and you can afford to lose one or two on each hole. Well, Dad squared up and knocked his ball into the pond about 30 feet away. Chuck was sitting in his golf cart nearby and Dad hollered over to his brother-in-law, Chuck, hey, throw me one of your balls. Chuck winced but dug out a Titleist from a new package of balls and threw it to Dad, who promptly chipped it into the drink along with his range ball. Chuck, hey, throw me another one. Again, with the smirk, but Chuck threw him another ball anyway. He's family, he's married to his sister. Again, into the water it went. Now, when Dad asked for a third new ball, Chuck hollered, use your own ball, Dave, or something to that effect, whereupon Dad answered, Chuck, if you can't afford this game, you need to quit. As for me, I don't play anymore. The last time I played a round of 18 with some guy, he ended up saying, you're right, Paul, you're not very good. I said, I tried to tell you I wasn't very good. When I say it, it's really true. That's my take on it. For Paragon Communications, I'm Paul Joseph.